Mark Szymanski, fresh off a floating buffet. Welcome back.
I was on a cruise. Yes. Thank you for having me back, Matt. Appreciate it, buddy.
Did you have a good time?
Great time. I don't know if you could see it on camera, but I'm pretty tan. I like being tan. It's fun. Yeah, it's a good time. Gained 10 pounds. Not good, but we're working
So
it
you
off
weren't
already.
doing your carnivore diet when you were on the boat.
I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's not easy. And if you put free pizza in front of me, I'm going to eat it. So gained 10 pounds, and I'm almost deleted all those pounds in this past week here. You gotta steak and potatoes. You gotta do that. But we'll save that for a different episode.
Big thing I want to find out today is if your mindset shifted afloat at sea, and wondering how you're getting on with getting back to work, working on the business, and wondering where you're at. Did you use that time to just totally disconnect, or did you use it as a time to reflect? I know you sent me some pictures on your balcony with the laptop out. I saw your queued up shorts that were going out across social media. But how did you use the time? Did you use it to reflect, or to readjust, or to disconnect?
It's funny. It's a great question because I've been on 4 family cruises so far, and she hasn't been my wife for all of those cruises, but she's been on all of them with me. And one of the first ones I remember, I could not like relax at all. And every time it's gotten a little bit better. So this time I would say, like, yeah, most of the time I wasn't like really thinking about, had internet and stuff, but I wasn't really thinking about work. I was kind of like resetting and reframing a little bit. So that was good. But obviously I took care of some things while I was there, like you said, with on the balcony and such. But I think it was a really good time because I had just filmed all those shorts, and kind of the beginning of June said that I'm going to start doing that as one of the pieces of things that I'm doing. And that in itself has been really helpful. And to have those going out while I was away was still, it was a good way to like be visible and keep that up, but also be able to kind of be behind the scenes, kind of like just kind of, rethinking about some stuff and kind of, and not being fully into it. Yeah.
The last episode that we recorded, I titled it, I don't know why I'm uploading this. Mark is overwhelmed. Do you still feel like you're overwhelmed after this little vacation, or what do you got?
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a mental breakdown lately there for a second. I say that loosely because I wasn't actually like really mentally breaking down, but I'm always like this. So anytime I get like a heightened in level of introspection, it seems like that. I would say I'm not necessarily overwhelmed anymore, but I would also try to pinpoint that my state of overwhelm is almost like directly proportional to like how much revenue I'm bringing in. So that's like not, I feel like that's something that, philosophically it makes sense in a way in the United States capitalistic society, but at the same time it's not, I don't want it to be like that. So I've done a lot of like thinking kind of, in these last few weeks of how can I like kind of, the easiest way I can explain this is I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have what it takes to be the level of success that I want to be monetarily, just like, socially, life, like all those things are good. But truthfully, high level of worry that I put on myself sometimes just doesn't do me any good. So I think, going back to the cruise thing, like you said, taking a little bit of a step back and just being like, just do some work and just not worry. I think that's going to help me. And I think it's already helped me. And I think that that is really where, where my mindset needs to be in order for me to have success, but also not freak the fuck out every so often. Cause yeah, it's not good. So
Do you think you're starting to, one of the big things I've been thinking about and trying to address at the WP Minute, the stuff that I've told you and some of my team with Eric and Raquel, is I think that there's a lot of folks that share your, sentiment of worry, even while feeling grounded at the same time, right? Like, is WordPress the thing that we continue to use? Question mark. What is it? What is going on with all this AI stuff? And are we making the right decisions in technology? And How are we still finding customers these days with sort of SEO being upended, a little bit or a lot of bit if you follow any of like a lot of like this SEO news that's coming out, where folks and systems are making the decisions, and now it's about awareness more than ever, because the clicks and the direct links are just evaporating in front of our eyes. So I think there's a lot of folks that share this sentiment basically at the end of the day, whether they're in year one of their what I'll call WordPress business, because that's probably who's watching this, or year 10 of their WordPress business. I think there's always like that level of uncertainty, and possibly like if you're like, nah, I got this. I mean, from a positive, like from a positive affirmation, that's cool. But I think if you think you've figured it out, that's when I start to question, like, do you really, are you really critically thinking about the future? Like whenever somebody is like, I know, I figured, I know what I'm doing. I always start to wonder. Sometimes I'm like that, but I think a lot of folks like to ask ourselves, like, are we making the right decisions for the now?
Yeah, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. You're saying if I say that I haven't figured out, your thing is, are you sure you shouldn't get a job? That's normally that's what you're saying. Yeah, I can read between the lines there and interpret that. Yeah, no, that's not the answer. That is 100% not the answer. I'm 100% confident that's not the answer. Because I have yet to find a way to brilliantly articulate what I'm about to say, but I'll throw it in ChatGPT one day and figure it out. Because that's what we do now. Is there is there is no way in hell, like when you really take a step back, and I know there's more people than just me, obviously way more people than just me that could think about this and actually resonate this in their mind. I'm not going to explain it well, but there is physically no way that if the amount of like knowledge that I have, the experience that I have, the skill set that I have, and the work ethic to continuously try to do stuff, there is no way that I will not continue to progress, succeed, revenue, whatever. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect in the approach. I'm not saying that, everything is where I want it to be. All I'm saying is that that is where I want to go. What I could say over the last like month or so is like my level of confidence has continued to rise. Now, some of that is just because you make more money, you have a little bit more confidence here and there, but really like making these like daily videos, these little quick things, and just trying to like have even more conversations with people, that has really put me in a much better headspace, I would say overall. Still certainly like second guessing myself on certain things and all of that, but I don't know, maybe I'm just more of an optimist than you are. Also in a different place in my life too. So it's like, again, personally, like I'm going to start a family here pretty soon. I would like to replace one of my vehicles pretty soon. Like those are just the real life things that everyone has to deal with. And it's like, I just need a little bit more money to do those types of things. And it's like, that's such a stupid fucking problem to have. Like really, when you think about it, like, you have your health, you have good family, I'm assuming, with people like, I know I have health, I know I have family, I have all these other things. Like, it's just, I am zooming in and micro, like, and hyper analyzing the one problem that I have, when really the answer is to literally just work a little harder, work a little smarter, ask more people for money. Like, and I mean, like, when I say that, I say it in the sense of just go provide more value in turn for more money. It's really not. I overcomplicate the shit out of these things sometimes. It's really not that complex.
Yeah, but it's fine to like. I wouldn't underplay it. Like because I've been thinking about this stuff too. With the WP minute is. I guess you might throw the label on it as like, when is enough enough? Like at what point do you stress yourself out on the revenue side of things, to where like you make no progress, right? Like, oh, I gotta optimize this. I gotta find these clients, and now I have to like redo my pricing. You start thinking about all of these things where it almost like paralyzes you to a degree. I mean, I don't know if that happens to you. It certainly has happened to me before, where I want to hit like this reset button and like redo everything, but sometimes it's just like, well, like how big do I need revenue to be, at the WP minute, and with this publishing stuff, because like you said, we're trying to solve, at least in my perspective, like I have a full-time job. So for me, it's like solving comfort level is like the best phrase that I can put on it. Like, how can I increase revenue to hire more people, to de-stress myself from the tasks I have to do? But I'm also not, and at the same time, like looking at it going, well, I'm not trying to build $1 million company with this thing, $1 million a year company with this thing. Not right now, anyway. Like I have to stop myself from looking at it going, oh, you're not, this isn't $1 million a year yet. Like, what are you doing? Like, here, how do you get to these? How do you get to that next point? How do you get to that next like level of revenue? And once you get to that next level of revenue, how do you hire more people to, take that, take that risk on and that work on? And, at some point I just have to look at it and go, all right, here's the goal. It's not $1 million. Let's say it's $100,000 a year. It de-stresses, like for me anyway, it de-stresses me. Like I'm not thinking about pushing beyond that. In your case, it might be different. But no, I agree with you that, sometimes you have to look at it and just say, the goal doesn't always have to be like 10xing your revenue, if that makes sense.
Well, certainly. I mean, I think so. A couple things there, but I would say most people that we talk to, that we deal with, I feel like are small shops, potentially solopreneurs, right? Regardless of what you call yourself, I think a lot of us are mostly are on our own. Effectively, you eat what you kill, minus whatever you have to pay to the government, right? So it's like when I have a problem with this still. Like I'm trying to get past it, but now I'm just starting to delegate a few things, and I think that it's something that I need to do to try and expand my mindset on all of it. But it's like if you sell a website for $10,000, it's like you basically made $10,000, and it's going into a business bank account. You're paying taxes on it, but then ultimately it's coming into your checking account at some point. Maybe it's this month, next month, following month. You know what I mean? Like that's how I've always kind of operated. Just because like I have absolutely built a nice little small business with the stuff that I've done, but it's not really much more than a job that's almost paycheck to paycheck in some cases. So that's not where you want to live. It's like that is better than a job, in my opinion, in most cases. I mean, there's problem, it depends on how much money you're making and benefits and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, maybe there's some benefits to the job thing, but I know that like my personality and what I want to do, I cannot do that. I cannot be like fully employed by anybody. Maybe that was slightly a bad experience that left a bad taste in my mouth, like overall, but ultimately, it's not about the job. It's about the idea that inherently I am somebody that wants to lead or wants to have ideas and more so wants the freedom. And I maybe there's jobs that do that, but I don't even want to experiment with that. Because I haven't given up on any of this other stuff that I'm doing. So that's that. We'll leave that one to the side for a second. So then the next thing that you have to realize that I'm finding is all about self-awareness. I mean, at a certain point you have to realize like, okay, you might want to start your own business, but what part of the business do you want to be? Do you want to be like the technician? Do you want to be I think there's normally three things, right? Like there's the visionary, there's the something, and the something else like artist, and then like the the kind of the operator, so to speak, or whatever. It's probably wrong, but like which mold do you kind of fit in? Do you need more pieces around you? I mean, we could sugarcoat it all we want. Like there's definitely some outliers that I've spoken to directly that are basically one man bands and can do everything and get lucky to some degree also, and like are really skilled and build up crazy things on their own. But I mean, honest to God, like that might not be the norm. So, just thinking about all of that, that's my next thing here is like, I just posted a thing today or yesterday. I can't remember. What am I? Like, am I the same? Am I like, I never thought, I'm probably on record saying I don't feel like I'm a good salesperson, but that's actually where I like being. I like being able to market the thing, talk about it, try to express why and persuade people on why they should do something like selling a website, right? Or whatever the case is. And then get the money, close the sale. And then now we're in this loop again where you sell and then you build and then you sell and then you build. That is not, you cannot get out of that. That's like a closed loop system. You need to have like, I want to be able to sell, take the money. Thank you so much. Hand that off, maybe manage that project, but stay right back in the field and sell. is one of my thoughts that I am currently dabbling with, because I've noticed it very recently that I'm actually good at that part, and I think that that is at least one step in the right direction, where I'm no longer specifically, and we talked about this loosely, but I've made money since we talked last, and those are the things that I have noticed. It's like, well, now I have to go do the work. That's
Yeah.
um, I don't mind it. I don't want to lose it entirely, but again, you could pull so many different examples. Maybe there's some maniacs out there that are doing it all, but I think when if you want to be a little bit more successful, maybe a little less stressed in certain ways, then you have you have assets, you have like people that are helping you do things. And I've just always been this do it all myself. And I don't know if that's where I need to be long term.
Do you think how do you think you're gonna bridge that gap? And because there's a lot of things that happen, like when you become the operator, which is, stuff we've been talking about for a while. And I always fall back to like the example of like, if we talk about websites, I think we've said this or I've said this on the live stream before or on the podcast before, like you could, start, if I was starting a website agency again and I was building websites for people, I would probably largely pick Elementor as the base of operations because of speed and because of what I'll call the talent pool available, right? I'm not having to hire an expensive developer. I know that there's plenty of people that know how to operate this thing and can build sites for a particular price point, and that helps me with that middle part of the business, which are people and the picks and the shovels that people need to use to put things together. And it for me anyway, like in my head, going back to like building a sales process and all this stuff, if you're doing things at volume, having something like that makes sense. How are you thinking about giving up control where your business sees an increased cost and you also give up control at the same time? Where you're like, man, I probably would have used bricks to do this, but I can't find anybody that I can also offload this to who can use bricks and do it the way I would do it. So I have to go to, I'm just painting an example picture here, but like now you're like, well, there's 1 out of 100 people know how to use bricks. 99 other people know how to use Elementor. Screw it. I'll go back to Elementor and I'll just hire people running Elementor. How are you thinking about that part of the business? You've made the decision. You're saying, I'm best at being an operator. Now I have to go get people. How does that sit with you mentally right now?
So what you outlined there does make sense, like logical sense to me. But what I would
Because you can't have it
probably,
all. Like that's the thing that I found. Like as you're growing, like you just can't have it all. Like you can't keep that same level of control for your own like sanity and for the sake of growing your business. Like you just can't have it all. Like your bricks developer might be super, whatever. They might demand a higher cost versus an Elementor developer, right? And maybe your business can't sustain it money wise, and you can't be in the trenches, like still building the site, teaching somebody how to do it. You need to be able to give it to them and say, get this done. I'm going to go back out there and sell.
yeah, I mean, hypothesis is like, there's I probably wouldn't want to go to Elementor, because my thought
Yeah, it's just an
with what
example.
you're saying, my thought with what you're saying though, is that, I mean, I definitely haven't articulated this well probably in the past, but like I build these websites and like I have, like, I'm obviously not like complete amateur here. Like this, like I have a process. I mean, maybe it's not 100% written down or whatever, but I have the process. I was actually thinking about this today. It's like, I have to stand up a new website. I might as well at least write it down, probably like go do some little brief content on it, because why not, like just show you guys, hey, here's how I build a site, and then all the steps and everything like that. So my point is that I already have that in place. I feel like the process exists in the business regardless if it's documented or not. It exists in the business. It's happened for tens of almost 100 sites, right? So it's like, if I have done that so many times, and that process is reasonably enough refined where I can do it and it's working for the business. Then my first thought should be that I need to find somebody that will adhere to that process. Now, I see what you're saying though. Maybe bricks developers are more, I don't know, expensive at just as the example or whatever. I get that. But I don't think that it's smart to regress in the product, the output that the business can put out there if we're, again, this is super generalizing a lot here, but like if you can put out a product that you feel is, higher quality with bricks versus Elementor, no shade, but just like we're saying that, or your process is just better with Elementor than it is with bricks, then you should probably stick to that. There's two schools of thought here, though, right? So the first one is like, if I'm thinking of this, like if somebody started building it with bricks, I hired somebody to start building it with bricks, and then I had to get in there. Well, then that's not that big of a deal. Like I'm fluent with that. If I hired them and they were doing it with like Divi, something I've never used, that's kind of silly, in my opinion. So that wouldn't make any sense, even if it was like super cheap or something like that. I'm not trying to like build an outsourced, completely hands off type thing. That wouldn't be my prerogative. The other thing though is like that's like one way, but the other piece is there is a real thought when you're panning things off. Like you want people to be better than you, and you want people to be more skilled and have more freedom. I'm a proponent of that. I appreciated that when I got that somewhat at my like past jobs or whatever, or past engagements. So that's another way to think about it. But I feel like you still need to have some level of an idea of what's going on, because if you don't, then you're a bad manager and you're a bad operator. So just kind of in the middle ground there. But if you want to get like really in the weeds for a second, like I am not a good designer. I know I'm not. That is the first thing that I would outsource here, to bring in somebody to do that. The second thing would be like, well, I think you should probably have a designer as a person, and then also like a developer or website, creator or whatever, which I still feel like I could kind of do if I had a design. I think that's the part. If I think about, oh, I need to build a new website, the most, you know, um, exhausting thought of that is actually designing what it looks like, not the
Right.
dynamic
Right.
content or anything like else. That's much more in my wheelhouse. Um, yeah, and then that's kind of it. The hardest part about this whole thing is like when you're not making enough money, you don't feel like you're selling enough to justify bringing people in. It's very difficult to get over the mental hump of like actually hiring people, because you're like, well, I don't necessarily feel like I have enough money to hire somebody, but like if I just sold more shit, then I would have more money. I'd be able to have more time. I'd be able to pay that people to do the shit for me, and then I would have more time to sell, and it would just keep going. Like it's really, really, really simple. I just have never done it, so I should stop talking about it. I should just fucking do it.
Yeah, well, I think you run into the challenge of, which you might not have come across yet, and that's going to be like, will you have to start managing? Like, what is managing the hire look like? What is the outcome of the product that they're putting together, and are you satisfied with that? Right, those will be the next sort of challenges for you. Like when obviously now I've been working with Eric for I don't even how many years now, at the WP Minute. When you first hire him, you're like, okay, or when you first start freelancing with him, and he's writing articles for you every once in a while, and you're just like testing the waters, and there's a little uncertainty, or I'm looking at his work, I'm going, okay, would I have said it this way? But that's not what this is about. This is about his own voice. This is about his own sort of like column at the WP Minute. So you sort of start to like work yourself back and go, okay, he's the skilled professional. Let him continue to do what he does. And then, over time, he starts to understand like who our audience is, what kind of content they're looking for. He adjusts his writing. I'm more, not that I was never satisfied, but I'm more satisfied with the outcome. And it just takes time to like finally get a good like groove with someone, right? Whereas, and I think writing's a little bit more flexible. Like I think the intent is to find somebody with literally a different voice and a different perspective. I think when you start to get into like coding and building websites, your that's going to impact your portfolio more, and your perceived value, where you might be like, God, did I make the right decision with this person? Because that is something I certainly ran into, at the agency later in the game, when we started, like, I tried all kinds of things, tried like white label outsource companies. Those were the worst. Those were the worst. And then going through a handful of other freelancers and designers that just, that they just didn't get it. And I kind of hesitate to tell the story, but even recently with the WP Minute, like hiring somebody to do a project, and I'm trying to say this in a way that hiring somebody to do a project, and it was fine. It was fine, right? But it was like definitely on the high end of like what I would be willing to pay. But I was like, well, maybe I'll be surprised. And I wasn't. And I was just like, okay, that was a lot of money for this thing that it was okay. So whatever. And then I went back to this person many months later, and I was just like, hey, I got this new thing, hoping, like in the back of my head, hoping like they know my process and they know I stay out of the way, that maybe this would be a better experience the second time around. Which is like the worst thing like to say, because, and then like sure enough, like it came back and like, here's the things I need done. And then they came back with a price which was like 3 times more expensive than the first time. And I was just like, well, I mean, this is just this is far beyond worth it. And nice person, and I totally understand like their angle on this particular thing. So I was just like, yeah, it's just far. It's like this is I can't, this is not something I would pay for at this price. They came back with like a quarter of that price. Okay, we're not talking thousands. We're talking hundreds of dollars here, right? But it's it's a thing that's not like I could do it, but I'm just like I didn't want to do it at the time. Then they came back at like a quarter of a price. And I was like, fine, at that price, I'll do it. I'll do it for that price. And then I didn't hear from him for 20 days, like literally 20 days. And they just emailed me back the other day, and they're like, okay, I'm going to start this project now. I'm like, why is this? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. It's been like 20 days, and now you want to do this? So what I'm trying to say here is like you start to work with people, and it becomes like on paper, you're thinking sell a project, offload, whatever their price is. They're going to go ahead and build it, and then I can move on with my life. I think what you're going to, learn next, and maybe you already know this, is it's never that easy. As soon as you bring somebody else into the mix, the variables just go off the charts, right? They might say it's $500 to build this thing, and you go, okay, let's do it. And then you move on, and then you get hit with the same issues the clients get hit with. They haven't built it on time. They haven't built it right. And now you're going back into the mix going, now I have to jump into this and build it the way or teach them. They go, well, you never told me it this way. So, all of that stuff starts to unearth when you start work, as soon as you bring somebody in, into the mix.
I always appreciate your level of realism and glass half emptiness. I always appreciate that. I always appreciate that.
I mean, it's just like it's just never that easy.
Yeah. Wait, stop
I
that. Stop
found.
that. Here's the thing. You've wisdom, obviously, over me. Here's the thing, though. I appreciate that. Genuinely, I appreciate that. But my counter perspective to what you just outlined there, not even really counter, but it's what. Let's just use that as like where I would be going. Like you're at a fork in the road, right? Nobody. I've said this long ago. Nobody said. And nobody claims, I've never heard anybody claim that what we are trying to do, like build businesses just at, in general, high level, is easy. Nothing about it is easy. Like maybe there's some things that are like kind of fun in the moment because you enjoy them and they're like, you're learning new things and it's fulfilling. Nothing's easy. I've never said it's easy. I'm not looking for the easy approach. I'm looking for the thing that I can consistently go to, levers that I can consistently pull, that make me, that continuously like challenge me and make me not sit at this desk and like not want to work. If I had, the hypothesis there is if I had more, people on the team or whatever, like I could continue to do the things that I'm doing, generate revenue, and then like, be a little bit more, I don't know, again, team oriented and have like more people doing more work. And then that would be like a harmonious system. That's not a foreign concept. There's so many people doing that. That's whatever. But the main counterpoint to that is that if I continue to do what I'm doing, it's not easy and it's not fun. Maybe the next thing isn't easy and it's not fun, but it might be the right direction for like who I am, what I want to do in the position that I'm in. Because again, that's just the way that a lot of businesses ended up going, because that's actually building business. And the other thing is, like, I've talked about so much business shit over the last 5 years. You and so many other people have taught me so much about it. I'm in these conversations all the time. And I would really stress that other people should really like do some self-introspection and just like take a step back and like look at themselves. Like if you were talking about this shit all the time and you're interested in it and you want to learn and you're having these conversations, there's like at some level, you just have to develop the level of confidence to be like, hey, I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know this isn't going to be easy. I know that there's going to be problems, but what the fuck is the alternative? It's to just not try, to not like try to hire somebody and be like, oh, at least we learned, and that is something that I don't think I necessarily fear failure, but that's something that I haven't not fully unlocked. Like I feel like I'm right at the ledge where I've obviously taken stabs, I've done different things, and I have progressed, but I feel like I'm walking when I could be just running. And again, maybe you'll trip, but if you were walking at a mile per hour versus running at 5 miles per hour and tripping way more and falling down while you're running, you're still going to get further than if you were just walking. Just made that metaphor up right now. So
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to discourage you, but just trying to illustrate like what comes next. And by the way, some people do make it sound easy, because I love to rage listen and watch these stupid YouTube videos where literally just the other day, if I had it up, I'd play the clip.
I know you're talking. I know who you're talking about.
No, this is just a random video. This is just a random video that I found, but I'll send you the thing later. And I'll just say it's $30,000. Somebody posted a video like how I made $30,000 off of a legal AI chatbot or something like that.
Is this not a Greg Eisenberg? You love Greg. You love
Yeah,
Greg.
no, but it's like that, right? And then what I found is everyone's doing that now. Everyone's doing the Greg Eisenberg. Here's this blatant. I'm making all this money in a day.
Did they actually though?
So he did. The interview is decent. And I'll try to link it up. I'll look for it after this. But I listened to the interview, and the guy just says like, yeah. So he sold an AI. He built an AI chatbot for a small-ish law firm, and smallish, like maybe like 10 or 12 partners in it or something like that, based on like what he was saying. And so the kid was asking him. He was just like, hey, so how did you do it? And he's just like, well, all I did was, we went back and forth. I called them, took like 7 or 8 phone calls or whatever, and I just sold it to them for, $35,000. So then the kid was just like, well, how did you build it? And he's like, well, I've got this, I partnered up with this guy that built it for me. I don't know if he worked on another project with him in the past, or he's like, I found him on like some site. I forget what it was, but the guy lives in like Peru, so he's like, yeah, so he's the CTO. He knows how to wire it all up. And I just sold it. And it was that easy. And in my head, I'm just like, or not in my head. I think I even yelled it out. I'm like, it's that easy. So first of all, like, you found somebody that you outsourced this to. Yeah, he was from America, but now he's living in some place that, like, the cost of living is pennies, right? Compared to, he's not living in San Francisco. He built it for you. And you're skipping this whole process of, like, if you don't know how to do this, then everyone must find some CTO level talent that lives in some remote location that he also doesn't need the $30,000 to build it, and it was just like infuriating. And then, as the conversation went on, it was just like the guy was like, yeah, I just it's easy for me to sell these things because I used to sell coins to people. Freak, like, what is
That's a weird part, but
on this timeline. He was a nice guy, but it was also like there's a lot of content out there where people just make everything seem like so easy, and on paper you're like, oh yeah, I sold it for $35,000, and he got 1 million clicks on his X post, and it's just like, yeah, of course you did, because everyone was so excited about the $35,000 thing that they too wanted to see it, but you skipped many phases that people don't have access to.
man, where do we go down this rabbit hole of this? Because this is a good, this is like a good topic. I like it.
And people watching this, like, they know my friend Brian Castle. I've had him on the show. We did a couple podcasts together. He puts out a lot of products, and the one product I want Brian Castle to do is how to hire. And maybe not anymore because of AI, but he was great at hiring outsourced talent. I'm like, where do you find this talent to, like, build all these products? Like, that's what I want you to tell me how you're doing. I don't need you to tell me how to build a site in Laravel or Ruby on Rails is what he's doing. Like, tell us how you're hiring this talent, this outsourced talent, because that's the secret sauce of all of this stuff. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, well, I had a lot of thoughts on that because I don't. What part of that were you actually mad about though? Like, if assuming the guy wasn't lying, so I feel like when you hear shit like that,
assume he's not lying.
That stuff's that shit's a dime a dozen. We all know that. It's particularly in AI land right now in automation, like, it's popping off because that's the new thing. That's the web design of whenever the hell web design was in that thing, right? So, I look at it, I'm like, shit, I gotta get in on this because this is actually something that I know how to do, I believe in, and, like, there's so many things there, and I'm already in I'm in the building, I'm just not in the room. So it's like, I have to do more of that. But, like, yeah, it's exhausting to see all that shit. That's why I try not to, like, jump into the recommended YouTube stuff too often, because it is exhausting. And, honestly, if you've seen one video, you've probably seen them all. So from a consumer perspective, see, this is the real problem though, okay? I'm going to break it down here for a second. This is the real problem because as consumer Mark, I'm like, okay, I see where some of the value is in this, but, like, it's very easy. Again, 2 videos in, you're like, they're all saying the same shit. It's pretty much just, like, different stuff, but, there's different stuff technically and, like, whatever, but ultimately it's just, like, work and just go find the clients and go get the leads. Like, I can process that really, really quickly. And you have all these people in the comments being, oh, great video, awesome stuff. It's like, are they going to go out and make any money though from this? It's like, probably not. So that's the consumer side.
Because still the hardest thing is to get the client, which, like, all of these videos are, yeah, great. You could make X amount of money in a weekend or on a sale, but you have to find those clients, which is the hard.
I mean, so I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying. Yeah, it's harder to get somebody to buy the stuff than to build most of the stuff that we're building, right? Like, it's easier to overcome technology than it is to, like, find, people that want the stuff. Yeah, and actually sell it for sure. However, though, I mean, well, one thing is, like, some people are actually doing what you're saying, like, like the way they're saying, like, doing, like, cold, or some sort of lead gen system, cold call system, like all this stuff with this AI stuff now that I think you've looked into as well, right? So there is that level of stuff going on, which is kind of like, I guess it's at least, like, more utilitarian than the other random things because it gets closer to the actual problem that an agency or whoever would have. But my big thing is, like, I don't want to sound like I'm putting myself on some sort of, like, tier thing here, but, like, getting the clients is the hardest part. But at the same time, you go back to your example. Why was the Peru guy who you said is not actually Peruvian. He lived like, why is he
Well,
not
yeah, he said
looking
he
for
lived in
that lead?
America and moved out.
So let's tie two things together here that we said the story versus what I was saying earlier. It's like the guy that's in Peru doesn't need as much money, right? Like so, like cost of living wise, he doesn't need as much money. He knows the technical stuff, and this other dude was able to connect the pieces between that. So where I'm trying to get here is in that exact use case, there was one person that was like the technician, and there was another person that was like the salesperson, the operator, however you want to define them. I guess my question to you, my question to the audience, and really my question to myself as well, because I've had these thoughts, is do you inherently like value that person, whoever that is, let's call it, Bill, whoever the person that was selling that deal, do you inherently value Bill as less of an entrepreneur because they're not doing the skill that they're selling? Do you like feel some type of way for that? I'm not like trying to call you out. I'm just saying, like, do you feel some type of way? Because I'm trying to think about this myself, because this has been my main mind fuck for the last few years. Is like, if I don't do the work, how can I like talk about the work and sell the work? But the news flash to me is that's how most fucking businesses are. Jeff
No,
Bezos doesn't
I know what you're
drive the
saying.
fucking trucks.
Yeah,
Jeff
yeah, yeah.
Bezos doesn't package the shit.
No, but he
So,
did. He did at one point.
well, for sure.
I know.
So did
I
so did us. So did we.
Right. No, I totally get what you're saying. It's just that when it's packaged in like a sensational video like that to like show other people how in a way to show other people how to do it too. Like you can do this too. Yeah, you could do this too if you found that guy that this guy found to build it, right? And I think that there's such a gap in, like you said, when you go into these comments, and I'm actually watching on the Eisenberg videos. I'm watching some of these comments really start to
They start to turn on him at some point, probably.
they definitely start to turn on him.
People
and the
start
same
to
thing.
sniff out the bullshit.
Yeah, and and people say it. It's just like, yeah, well, yeah, great. You're not really showing me how to do it because there's all these other steps that he kind of, I don't want to say got lucky in. I don't disagree with what you're saying because that's exactly what you have to build towards. I think it's just dangerous when, maybe the dangerous is a little heavy handed, but I just think it's misleading when you package a video together like that. And I get it. It's just, I have to come to grips with the fact that it is literally for the hype and for the algorithm and for the clicks. It's really, at the end of the day, I just have to come to terms with that. Like, that's why these people put out these videos, because it works for YouTube. And, they can package it all they want and say, hey, I'm here to help you learn how to do this too. But this person not only has, his strength being the sales background, which you absolutely need, but he also found somebody with the technical background to actually put the solution together for him, which I don't think a lot of people have the wherewithal to do.
Well, my only counter to what you're saying, this is going to sound shitty and I don't know how to say it. My only counter to what you're saying is I believe we dove into this sort of on the last one or something, but like I don't know how, again, I don't know the numbers. I don't know, whatever. I'm just going to say this. I feel from everything that I see and everything like we're describing here, not everyone is that person. Not everyone is the guy that goes out and finds the sales and closes the deals and can market and is personable and can handle that part of it, can be the CEO. Some people are just as good at that, but they're good. They're as highly skilled, but they're skilled at the technician part. Like the guy in Peru, he probably doesn't want to sell anything, or he might not want to sell anything, but he's fine with just like boom, 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 going on N8N and just linking shit up. So my thing is like, I'm with you on the hype thing. I don't really love it, but it's again like a game that we kind of have to play. We're literally in it right now. So, I don't love it, but it is what it is. But this is bigger than that. This is like, let's say 1 million people watch that video. There is honest to God, I bet you there's a big percentage of people that, I'm not saying they will never be able to do that, but it's like they see the title And the way that they process it is, wow, $30,000. I want $30,000. I want to click on this video because I want to get $30,000. And then they watch it and they immediately think, wait, I'm not getting $30,000 for free? Like, what the fuck? So
Yeah.
I have never clicked on one of those videos and thought that. I've clicked on the video and I'm like, okay, this guy's making $30,000. The more numbers that I see, the more things that I see people making, that's not really a lot of money. Like in my frame of mind, and other people's, sure it is, but it's not really a lot of money in my frame of mind. What is this guy doing? What is he getting lucky on? Resources does he have available to him to make that $30,000 easy in his mind, in his perception and perspective of his life? And then I think about, can I do that, or what would it take for me to do that? All I'm saying here, and I'm definitely not the first person to say this, is like, we're not all built the same. I don't believe that. You could probably change yourself a little bit, adapt yourself. I'm not saying people shouldn't become entrepreneurs, shouldn't want to be the salesperson, whatever. But I know a lot of people that are probably forcing themselves. They're purebred technicians, and they're forcing themselves to become the CEO type when they don't like to sell. They don't like to do whatever the fuck that avatar is. They would just rather be the technician, which is a valuable part, because the other dude that sold that shit couldn't build it. So you need both. So like, all I'm saying here is, this is a lot of what I talk about is my journey of trying to figure out, well, I started as the technician because that was what I was interested in. But now as I've grown and I've evolved, I actually do think that I could be the salesperson, the marketer, the CEO, like however what that is. And there's a bunch more roles all through in here. We're generalizing, but that's where my mind goes with a video like that. Aside from all the hype and all that other bullshit, there's a real lesson in between all the lines that you have to read from something like that. Because if you're watching that video and you have one response to it versus another response, that tells you a lot more about yourself than it tells you about like the video or the person making the video.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, it's just my own, issues with those, those types.
I understand. I get it. I feel
with those types of videos. So let's wrap up with talking about some AI stuff. You said you're in the building, just not in the room.
Just came up with that one too. That's pretty good.
Great one. So how are you looking at AI to evolve your offering? Like, when are you going to start to actually like push into that stuff? I mean, maybe you are and you just haven't said it out loud yet, but like, when are you going to start pushing into those spaces to really see how it can either augment your business or offer solutions to clients?
I've definitely already used it heavily for, I have to be a little bit more, not absolute, but a little more opinionated on certain stuff. I 100% think that you could use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, like any of the like LLM, like the text based ones, like any of those types of things. I think you definitely could use those for most of your copywriting if you are not an idiot at copywriting. And no disrespect, I'm just saying, like, if you have written stuff for yourself, if you communicate, if you've looked at other websites, if you've done that and you're in the website business, I think you could get absolutely acceptable copy for most of your clients if you prompt well enough. Like if you were gonna write the copy before and it was half decent, the LLM is gonna make your copy go to at least 80%, 85% as far as effectiveness. I'm not saying that you should do that. You do whatever the hell you want. But all I'm saying is, like, I feel like the need for a copywriter has gone way down. So for most things that I do of substance like that, I am at least using it to heavily assist because I know the information. I'm putting a bunch of information in. I was watching your, or I think I was listening to the Matt Report the other day, and you were saying that you made a GPT, right? Like you put all your transcripts in there and you're doing all that stuff. It's that simple. Like, it's actually kind of funny how everybody has, I'm getting a little off topic, but everybody has gone all to these hype things about how to make, whatever money doing all this crazy shit. There's so much low hanging fruit that you could create content around. It's like, hey, do you want to like make your life a little bit better? Just put all the shit that you've ever said into this GPT and then prompt it if you ever need to remember anything, or if you ever need to like ask it a question or like work on your clients or anything like that. That's just super simple. So definitely everything text-based, there's a lot of advantageous benefits there. What I really need to get into, I've been paying for an N8N subscription for months now, and I haven't been actually using it. So I really need to like I don't know, just somehow there's a million things out there that I need to work on in that regard. I think the biggest thing right now that I'm actively doing is I'm doing some fractional COO work from via like Find a Tech for some clients, and that's like getting more into the weeds of their business, which I know you've talked about. We've talked about offline, and you're I don't know if you love that or not, but I really love that part because I do think that that's something that I can really provide value with, and there's no subjective design element to that whatsoever. It's like, does it work or does it not work? Is pretty much what it is. It's all logic. I actually kind of messed up, I think, when I decided to be a web designer because I am shit at designing. Like, that's the one thing that I don't want to do. I don't know how to do. And that's like a core piece of it. If I could actually probably pivot right now and do a lot better in systems, something system oriented like that. And that's kind of where I'm trying to go a little bit with what I'm doing.
That was actually going to be my question to you, is because like whenever I heard you talk about that stuff, like that's where I hear like the most energy and like what makes the most sense to you, but you're still like trying to do websites. And I say the same thing about my business. Like this stuff we've talked about online before. It's just like how much more can I go uphill with like WordPress community news and content to where I just say F it. And the next time you tune into the WP Minute channel, I'm reviewing a backpack or like
mean,
a new light for my desk, right? And I'm just like,
I mean,
screw it. Like I'm just gonna do just generic ass content and just do good at that stuff.
bro, like you're in my mind, you're in the other content creators that, some of the other content creators. I think everyone actually ends up thinking about this could be another 2-hour episode, but like this whole niche bullshit is so dumb. You never specifically said it like you did, I don't think, to me in the Matt report that you just did. The idea of the body of work, you described it. It was one of those times where like I've heard you say it, but you described it like in a way that I didn't ever comprehend before. And you're like, it's like the body of work in a sense of like everything that you're doing and all of your cycles of the the stints that you have and everything. And that extremely resonates with me. I hate this bullshit where like, oh, you have to be like the best person at Facebook fucking ads forever. Like, bro, that sounds like the worst life I could ever imagine. Yeah. And shout out Ben Heath, who is a monster at those things. I just picked him out of there. He's a monster and he has great content. But like, I would love to talk to him or just him as the example or anybody. Be like, bro, you've been doing this for like how many years? And like, I'm sure you're making money from this. It's building your business. But like, haven't you like said basically everything? Aren't you like tired as fuck from saying this? Like, and like, there's definitely core pieces. Good.
I was just gonna say, like, and I think that space resonates really well, but for how much longer, I have no idea, because of AI and because of the competition, where there are people that once it's built, and you can see this at like the higher levels that sell informational products, like once it's built, it's there and it exists for so long that if they change the brand, they lose that revenue. So I understand why people do it. I choose not to do it.
I certainly understand because you have to just zoom out and be like extremely objective. But unfortunately, we're also emotional. So it's like if you were extremely objective and logical, it's like, okay, I could sacrifice, not even sacrifice, but like I could use 5 years of my life and completely dump it into some area that you're betting on in a sense, but you can make like an educated guess like that. And you could say, I'm just going to do this for 5 years. Like, I don't care how bad my life is, how annoyed I am every single day that I have to make one of these videos or whatever. But, then maybe you come out on the other side and you're like, have millions, you can do whatever you want. In some cases, I totally understand people doing that. I would just rather do something that like, I'm like at least a little bit more like inclined to do and not absolutely hate my life for 5 years. Or supplement with stuff that I like to do, so the pain is less, like more tolerable. I don't know, maybe I'm not the same as other people in that regard. It's just going back to your body of work thing. It's like that is what I want to be. I'm an interesting person. I know that I mean well. I know that I have a lot of value to provide in all these different areas, and we're all people. So that is what I need to do. Now, that said, and what you've done, and you've had a lot of different experiences in what you've done, like with your different YouTube channels and brands and everything. I think you're doing it like in a lot of ways the right way in a sense. Like, and it's kind of something that I'd like to model. It's just I've kind of slightly misstepped here. I want to create a personal body of work, brand, and everything like that where I can do whatever the hell I want. And there's benefits to that and revenue ways to generate revenue there. But also, I have not gotten to the point yet, other than with Find a Tech, which I hate the name, but it is what it is. That's my service-based business and stuff. But like the next step is literally just create some sort of a product and a brand around that thing is obviously niched and obviously for an audience. But then the people that know that, some of the people that know you will spill over to there, and some of the people that know that will spill over to you. But some people, if you do it really well, they'll know your product and they won't even know you if you do it right. Like there's so many good examples that I've seen in not totally outside the tech world, and it's just been incredible and extremely inspiring because that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to have a strong personal brand so people resonate with you as a person. You push those over to your brand. The brand stuff pushes over to you, possibly for the people that are interested in learning more. But then the brand is strong enough to stand on its own. And that is what to put all big bow on this whole thing. You cannot do that when you are effectively operating as a solopreneur in your service business, because I think about this at a micro level when I'm writing an email. Should I be saying I or we? It's like it's a company. It says Find a Tech right here, but it's really just me. It's like it's a stupid little thing, but it's like you really start to think about it and you're like, this is this is weird. And I think I should, and it's like, I think if we want to say we, I should really like make this more of a we type of thing. So then I could leverage both of these things and just disconnect them slightly, but they're still, kind of related. And that's ultimately the best. But unfortunately, it just takes time. It takes mistakes. It takes learning. And that's where I'm going.
One last thing give me an example of something that you do on that COO stuff. What's like one thing that you do? Like somebody says, I want that. Like, what is it that you would do? You would go in and do.
So it's early. It's early. I'm going to try to give you a specific example, but you know me, I have to give you the context. If you're going to try to do this, if you're watching, and you're interested in this, the only way that I've found so far is like you're dealing with businesses that are not like extremely technically savvy. You're dealing with businesses that are like, service based, whether it's, I don't know, plumbers, painters, landscaping, stuff like that, because those businesses are, a lot of people, it seems like I'm generalizing, those types of businesses, like the smaller mom and pop ones, they have brute forced their way into that industry. They had a skill and they had, clients or whatever, and they have brute forced their way into like having a bunch of projects that they do every single year, recurring clients of, referral and everything like that. What they normally lack heavily is good internal processes to free them up to make more or to scale more, right? Like that's a typical, even in the agency world, that's the same thing. So having said that, where I'm at right now in the beginning of offering that is like just offering whatever they need in a sense, which is not a good offer. I'm not saying it is, but it's like, okay, you have a CRM that you have no idea how to use. All right, well, that's really kind of a layup for me. Let me help you with that. What that turns into over time, because you should not stay there, is probably more of a productized thing where you have like kind of a system to install and maybe you're dealing with just plumbers or just whatever. But that's not where I'm at yet with that. So I have to keep you updated. But just as an extremely specific, simple example, literally installing client is manually invoicing all of their people, which is a huge time suck. When they have when the technology exists literally in their stack and everything and around them, that they could just get credit cards on file and automatically bill everyone, the amount of time and energy that would save for them is obnoxious. That is like one specific tiny scope of work item that I would say. And then you could just kind of, expand from there. Obviously, there's a million and one different things that you could do now with automation and AI that I just haven't dove into yet. But I have some plans to do that with the clients that I already have on this. So, yeah, I mean, I'm open to share. It's just I'm just specifically in my infancy with it, but it's all around. It's categorize it as things that are like in house almost for the most part. Things that are outside of just the website. It's operational, it's process oriented, and ultimately it's probably more about saving money than marketing and making money.
Sure. Well, we'll follow up on that when we have you back, when we have you back on the WP Minute. MJS.bio, as always. You got that podcast coming back?
Working on it. Got a lot of people on the list. Got to schedule some time here.
You should just do that right here under the umbrella of the WP Minute. We would produce it all for you. You just have to show up.
Wow. That's I'll have my people call your people, and we can work something out.
Thanks for watching, everybody. It's I don't know. I think I called this the Solopreneur series. It's only on YouTube. It's only on the WP Minute Podcast YouTube channel on a playlist called Solopreneur Chats. That's what I called it. It's just your face across the whole playlist.
Nice.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.